Welcome to A Dose of Feel Good. I'm your host, Whitney Bischoff, and today we are talking about You Are a Masterpiece. You can see full show notes at doseoffeelgood.my.canva.site. Now let's dive into today's episode. Welcome back, everyone, to Dose of Feel Good. I hope that y'all had some fun over the last week as we celebrated our 1-year anniversary. I handed out a bunch of kindness cards and got some people on board to help hand those out, and it just totally refilled my cup. And what a wonderful way to celebrate putting out Feel Good into the universe. We also released 3 new episodes, which I had so much fun recording, and I hope you had some time to enjoy all 3 of those. And we also are doing a giveaway, so that will extend throughout this week. So if you haven't had a chance to check out our social media and share our giveaway post, we will be giving out over $100 worth of a prize. So check that out as well to just share all of the lovely things that we are doing. But today our topic is You Are a Masterpiece. And I'm really jazzed about this episode. I, for one, have done a lot of growth, if you will, I think, over the last few years about healing my own inner dialogue. And that's kind of what we're going to be really focusing on when we're talking about You Are a Masterpiece, is really owning and believing what that looks like for our lives and the impact that that can have. Because if we don't first love ourselves, how can we expect the world to shower us with the love that we crave? And if you're taking a second and, saying internally, or if you're like, Whitney, I don't crave love. Like, I have enough of that in my life. Yeah, that's not real. So I'm going to call you out a little bit, because we all want that as humans. Like, we want to know that we have that space, right? That someone or multiple people, right? Like, that we are leaving our mark, if you will, on the world. But we can't really expect people to love us in the way that we want and need until we love ourselves first. So we have to pay attention to how we talk to ourselves, that inner dialogue that we're saying. And when we recognize that you are a masterpiece and that you show up in the world like you're a masterpiece, that love that people shower onto you is going to completely shift. And I've been really intentional, I think, in the last, like I said, few years about knowing what that looks like to me, and just the different even connections with folks that I've been able to have because of that shift in mindset has been so powerful. So I want you to know that you are a masterpiece, and really give us tools of how do I actually believe that? Because when we settle for less in the world because, we've allowed ourselves to believe that maybe we aren't worthy of the fullness of life or love, or as cheesy as that sounds, but guess what? No one has the recipe for how life is supposed to look. No one has that figured out. So hopefully that's not a news flash, right? But I think sometimes we believe that. And so we then maybe talk down to ourselves, or we don't give ourselves that full credit because we think everyone else has it figured out. Or maybe even people have spoken to us like they have it all figured out. And so it makes us question ourselves a little bit, makes us feel a little crazy. So we allow ourselves to believe that we're less than for whatever reason, or that we're a little weird or too much, or that we don't match the energy in the world around us, because our masterpiece is our own. It's our own beautiful mess, and wonder and beauty all kind of thrown together. And if it doesn't fit how we've maybe been led to believe how it's supposed to look, then we question that. And so we're like, oh, I maybe don't believe that, or I question that, or my inner dialogue changes because it doesn't look how it's supposed to look, if you're catching my drift. But because no one has it figured out, the version of you, the masterpiece that's been carefully crafted and put together, is freaking gorgeous and one of a kind. And when your inner dialogue, when your inner thoughts start to truly believe that you bring your own energy to the plate that has your own space for that, then it raises your energy. It raises your piece to that puzzle. And if the other people don't have it figured out, or the places that you're in don't have that figured out, that's on them, right? The art that you are, right? If we're talking about a masterpiece, the art that you are then should be in a place that actually appreciates that, because you are the rare person that people want more of. And sometimes that can lead to bitterness or resentment, or, sometimes it's like, ooh, it's maybe been, hang with me here, like hung on a wall, and people are like, it doesn't fit the vibe or whatever. But that's on them. Like, they want the watered down version because maybe their walls are gray and not fun. And so they are trying to water you down to match their energy. And that's not what we're going to do, because we're a masterpiece just how we are. And we're going to stand tall and proud and allow them to bask in our glory, right? Like, we're going to change the paint on the walls to match what we bring to the table and not the other way around, because we're a masterpiece just as we are. And we're going to freaking own that. And I know I get excited and riled up a little bit, but I think it's because there's so often that, we've been made to believe that someone else has it figured out. And so they try to shift us, right? Or they try to, add their own paint to our picture. And no, like, they don't get to do that. Because we're already that masterpiece. We get to choose when we're adding to our masterpiece. The other people do not get to do that. And I think to highlight this with a story, I want to do this with a little different way today from a couple of different places. So I want to talk specifically about women in leadership. This came up. I just did some professional development from my day job, but this also came up from the corporate TikTok world. So I was watching this TikTok, and there was this lady that was talking about, the hypothetical deadlines on a PowerPoint, that it's supposed to look a certain way, or if you don't get it done by this date to show this person XYZ, then, there's certain repercussions, or whatever that looked like. And she was saying, like, it's all a show. Like, whoever came up with all of these hypothetical ways that it's supposed to look, no one knows how it's supposed to actually look in practice. Like, the corporate world is all just made up. And I was like, yes, girl. But also, like, life. That's exactly how it is. Like, whoever put together these pieces of how it's supposed to look, it's all just a facade, right? So like we can put that down, and we can realize, like, no one has it figured out. We're all just adding our own pieces to the puzzle. And the masterpiece is that we all have our place. We all have our piece to that larger piece of the puzzle. But when I think we're talking about women in leadership specifically, is that I think sometimes women in leadership specifically, or who are in higher level roles, feel like they have to have it all figured out. And again, it's just that reminder that no one has it figured out. And I think to their credit, they've fought battles to get to where they are, right? Like there's a certain piece that, they've had to pave the way for maybe women like myself who are maybe going into those leadership roles. Like I can fully recognize that there are women who had to fight to get the seat at the table, because most of the time it's men that were in those seats or are in those seats currently. So I can fully recognize that. The hard part, I think, is that, I've been in a lot of spaces where those women who have fought those battles really hold on to that. And so because it's all a show, they really don't, or they then want to water down folks, the younger women who are looking to hold those leadership roles. They water us down because they think it has to be the way that they did it, right? And I think that's hard. Like, why are we not creating more seats at the table for other women to bring their own pieces of their masterpiece to the table? And I think if we created a world that allows for all of our beauty to shine in those spaces, because there is enough room for all of us. What a beautiful picture that could be, right? Like we could be in a room where there are all of our artwork, if you will, right? Rather than it just being one woman's artwork on a wall. Make room for all of our energy, right? Like make room for all of us. And I think when we recognize, like, especially that it doesn't have to be one way, that let's give grace for the mistakes that are bound to happen. Let's offer room for feedback. And then as women coming up in those spaces, be open to that feedback. Know that there is room for growth and opportunity. And at the end of the day, I talk about this all the time. Like, let's just communicate. Let's just talk it out that, like, we aren't all out to get each other. Like, let's make more room at the table. Let's talk about how we can do this better. And let's create spaces where we can shine a light on all of the really great beauty that we bring to the table. And I think the impact of this in a couple of different ways, when we're talking about creating room at the table and when we're talking about our own dialogue, right? Like we have to recognize that we are a masterpiece, just showing up as we are. I think when we start with that recognition, we step into our realness. We really own what that looks like. And when we do that, it's like this breath of fresh air. And I know, at least for me, it's allowed the right people and the right opportunities to meet me where I'm at. I no longer like bring myself down to the spaces that, I don't belong in, because I'm owning the masterpiece that I am. And so the ones that don't fit, they weed themselves out. I don't need to worry about that anymore because they're not ready for me. They're not ready for that vibrancy that I can bring to the world. And I think when that inner dialogue has shifted, when I really recognize the masterpiece that I am, I'm not going to shrink. And I really encourage you, don't shrink for anybody else. Don't water yourself down. Don't decrease the vibrancy that you are, because there are spaces that are going to shine a light on you as the masterpiece that you are. And I think that's really, really powerful. And I think just really owning the fact that your inner dialogue is your best friend and your biggest ally. And when you choose you, you're going to watch your chin lift higher, your shoulders are going to roll back, and your energy is just going to be brighter because you really are going to own that you are a masterpiece. And the world around you is going to own that as well. So how do we actually put this into practice? So what is our call to action for the week? So it's going to sound really cheesy, but I highly encourage you to actually do it. And like I said, like it has taken me a few years to really own this. And I feel like I can confidently say I'm at a place where like I do. Like, I will go out into the world and say, yep, I'm a big deal. I am a masterpiece, and I will not water myself down for anyone or anything. And I want to be in the spaces that almost lift my energy, right? I'm thinking of like an art show, right? Like I want to be in spaces that shine a light, not that turn my light off, right? That's really what we're talking about here. So first, list everything that you love about yourself. And I mean, really take the time to do that. Like, what do you love about you? And I think at the same time also recognize what makes you unique. What are all of those things? What is it about you that is special and different and beautiful? And really write all of those things down. If you're not a writer, you can talk it out loud. I've recognized I am that person. I'm a talker, but do those things. Like, list out everything you love about yourself and what makes you unique. And it can feel weird because we're humble people, but do those things. And I think once we've recognized what those things are for us, then plan a monthly date with yourself where you can be reminded of how freaking amazing you are, and that you are enough just as you are in your space. And I think when we do that, we are recognizing that we can show up for ourselves. And I think that's really, really powerful. And then the last piece, and this one's really difficult. It takes a lot of practice, but I want you to practice the humble brag. Like, how you actually talk about yourself to other people. Whether that's, starting with writing it out through LinkedIn, right? Like, you have your bio of like, how do you say about what you say about yourself? And that can be in a professional sense, but also like your almost elevator pitch, whether that's to in a professional setting, but I think also like in a personal way, right? Like, if you're to introduce yourself, like, how do you want that energy to come across? And I think when we really recognize the masterpiece that we are, that elevator pitch, if you will, completely shifts. You're going to feel the energy shift. So yeah, practice the humble brag. Know that the masterpiece that you are will light up and change and be beautiful. And we want you to know just how gorgeous that is. So with that, thanks for going on the fiery passion with me today. So like I said, check out our social media. We are highlighting that giveaway this week. Otherwise, thanks for joining me, and join us again next week. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you are feeling ready to conquer the week and let your impact ripple out to the world around you. Let's connect on Instagram and Threads at Dose of Feel Good Podcast. If you're loving the podcast, I'd love it if you'd hit that subscribe button and leave a review. Until next time, share your own dose of feel good and never underestimate the power of positivity.